started episode 1?
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess welcome to Small Town Big Gays, everybody. I'm Chance Smith.
I'm Travis Gorell.
And this is our brand new podcast about being gay in a small town.
Queer life.
In small towns.
Scandalous, not so scandalous. And
on a scale of 1 to 10, how many scandals have there been in the past week for your life?
actually really boring. This has been a boring week for me, so I'm a little sad to report that. So
okay, since this is the first episode, we might, because we've been friends for like a while.
Yeah, a couple days.
A couple days. I just met you on the street yesterday. I was like, hey, you want to start a podcast?
Yeah.
We've known each other for like a year or two now. But you know what I realized? We don't really know that much about each other.
I know.
Here we are in your drag room now.
A very exclusive place to be, so you should feel special.
Thank you. How many men have you had over?
See, that's the thing. I don't let the trade in here.
Smart.
So this is a very big deal for you to be in here.
This is, to get started, we should talk about where we grew up. This is small town big gays. After all, and we are physically large gays, so we got that part down.
Right.
But what qualifies us to be the small town part, do you think?
Well, I guess I don't know if Eau Claire is really considered like a super small town. It's probably more of a city than small town.
I would say small city, but like comparatively, because I think the reason that we wanted to start this podcast was, I mean, for me anyway, movies, TV, other podcasts, you only get the perspective of like New York and LA, big city gays, and no one talks about like what it's like even in just a small city.
True.
And then, yeah, it's a small city, but you go 15 minutes in any direction and you're just in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah.
It's not like we're a part of a greater metropolitan area or anything.
Yeah, that's true. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
You can go. I'm more curious. You probably have a better story than I do.
I don't know if that's true, but we'll find out, I guess. Okay, so I was born and raised for the most part in Eau Claire, which is the town that we live in now. My parents did get divorced when I was in second grade, which then through the divorce, my mother moved us to a small town called Gilman, Wisconsin.
Gilman?
Gilman. Yeah. There was probably a lot of people who were killed there, though.
I'm sure.
But technically, we lived in the township of Holly, Wisconsin, which made it a population of 4 people. So it was my mom, my stepdad, my brother, and I. So
fantastic.
You know, I think that qualifies as a pretty small town.
I think so.
Unincorporated, if one would say.
Yeah.
So I have had the experience of like living in a bigger city, then moving to a small town, and then a little bit of a bigger city again, back to Eau Claire eventually. Parents divorced, lots of childhood trauma we can delve into at a later time, probably be a lot for the first podcast. When I was of college age, I kind of moved around a lot trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I think as most queer people and just people in
just
general
young,
do. Yeah. I, of course, had the big dreams of being a famous actor in New York at one point. That obviously failed epically.
So is that like a universal thing among queer people? Because I also wanted to be an actor when I was a child.
I think so. I think we just all want to like escape reality. And
we want attention.
Yeah.
We love attention.
Not me. I'm pretty shy.
Yes. Famous drag queen Chloe Wold. Locally famous drag queen Chloe Wold.
Yeah. But I was actually at that time very involved in the church, which a lot of people, I think most people do kind of know, but people don't. I think they think I'm joking about it sometimes, but it's actually very true. So
completely.
I lived my life as a missionary within the United States. Which,
what?
Yeah, we can delve into some more at another point, which is actually a pretty hysterical part of my life. And when I finished my last contract, I was like 21, 22. And I had been doing like some college at that point. I thought I was going to be an art teacher.
I could see that for you.
Yeah, I had like a little bit of experience with it, doing it in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is random. I was sent there through my mission experience. But anyways, in a really awkward turn of events, my grandma, who I was really close with growing up, had been diagnosed with cancer. And so through that, I ended up moving back home. And she ended up passing away. And that was like kind of the pivot that was like, made me realize I need to like just live my life for myself.
Yeah.
And live my truth, which is then when I decided to just do like the big come out to my family. So I was like 22 at this time. And I told them that not only was I gay, but I was going to start doing drag and I was going to cosmetology school. So I did like the triple threat, like just really
Incredible.
Disappoint them in one fell swoop. So
How'd they take it?
my mom was very much like, that just makes sense. Like, you know,
I always knew you were a little faggy.
yeah. Like even though I did missionary work, I was like very into like decorating my room and making clothes and whatever. So I was like very typical gay kid.
That also tracks because this is the first time I'm in your house and your decorating skills are much better than mine.
Thanks. You know, I pride myself on being a true gay.
Practicing for years. I'm bi, so like half whatever. You know.
Yeah. Interesting.
My husband's just messy, so we're just a messy.
Yeah, my mom was great about it. And my dad at first, so my dad is from another small town around the area, and he grew up as a farmer on a dairy farm and Catholic. So and my dad actually worked at the church that I like grew up in. So I was very involved in church growing up. So at first, I think he was like, I don't think he was like surprised, but like surprised. I don't know if that makes sense. But, yeah. And I remember I was at the dinner table with him and my stepmom, and I told them all of these things. Like, I mean, it's one to just tell your parents that you're coming out as gay, but then to like throw on that I'm going to cosmetology school and I do drag was probably not the right choice.
You're really piling on.
Yeah. But I like kind of like, I think every gay like secretly wants like that dramatic, like coming out where like you're ready to fight your family about
100%.
Yeah.
I think that's what some people look forward to.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was ready. I was ready to fight like anyone who had anything to say about it, but like everyone was pretty embracing. My dad did like lose eye contact with me immediately, and I could tell like he wanted to cry, but like was holding it back and like just would not look at me the rest of the meal in the eye. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we probably upset him, so we'll work through this.
Yeah.
My stepmom she's just a very lovely person anyways, but it was just like, well, I always kind of figured, but you know, it was just like really sweet about it and trying to like break the ice and smooth things over.
Yeah.
And I got up from the dinner table after we were done eating, and she hugged me. And then like I went to leave because I figured my dad just like wasn't ready for that yet. And he came up to me at the door and hugged me and was just like, I'm not upset that you're gay. I'm just like worried about you and what your life is going to be like now that you've come out.
Aw.
Yeah, which it was
That's actually really sweet.
Yeah, it was a sweet moment. And I remember like leaving, just feeling like weird, like that maybe now I've kind of ruined our relationship a little bit. Like I wasn't sure where it was going to go and whatever. And then he actually called me like 4 days after all this had happened. And mind you, that weekend I ended up doing my first drag show too. So it was like a lot of stuff happening at this point. But he called me. It was like, this is really sweet. And he means well, but it's also kind of just hilarious. And was like, I want to let you know, I've told some of my friends that you were gay and they're all okay with it. I was like, well, I'm glad they're
Thanks,
okay.
Dad.
Right? But it was like sweet because, you know, he told his friends about it, and his friends, I would be the type to probably think wouldn't be too accepting. So it was really nice that he had that moment. And then, yeah, it's ever since then, my family's all great about it. There's quite a few people where it's like, we don't talk, we don't ask, don't tell very much about it. But like, I always look at it in the way of like, obviously we're not talking to our parents about our sex life, so that doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then like with drag, it's like if my uncles want to talk about football, like I don't want to fucking hear about it. So like I understand them not wanting to hear about drag. Yeah, like it's not like they hate me. They just don't care.
Right. It's not their interest. Yeah. Cute.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I knew I was like queer, bi, gay. I started like questioning when I was like 12, probably. Pretty young, and I spent all of like junior high school in the closet, and like people knew for sure because I was a little bit more fun, we'll say, than people. I grew up in New Lisbon, Wisconsin, which is the middle of nowhere. That's 1,400 population.
Yeah. We stopped at a road trip in New Lisbon once, and I was like, if this is New Lisbon, I want to know what Old Lisbon looks like because it's terrible.
Old Lisbon is in Portugal and is probably a lot better than New Lisbon, which is, again, 1,400 people, dead middle of Wisconsin, just boring. just farm community. Walker Industrial, they made part of a space shuttle, which is pretty cool, but mostly they make like tanker trucks, and that's the number one employer. So not exactly like the most accepting town in the world, like truly a small town. Yeah, I knew I was like queer or something else from like 12, spent all of high school in the closet, experiment. I remember my first like kiss at 16 with another guy, and I remember sucking my first dick in a parked car at a park in the Wisconsin Dells. I think his name was Gavin. Shout out Gavin if you're still
Alive.
If you're still even alive. I don't know. I came out when I was 18. I think it was fresh 18. I might have been like late 17. The story behind that is I sucked my friend's dick. And then rumors started spreading, and I decided to get ahead of them. So I actually came out on Facebook back when I used Facebook. But I remember posting a status like, I think my exact status was, fuck it, I like guys and girls and don't care, blah, 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 blah. And I remember my father commented on it, and he said, I just realized my son doubled his chances of getting laid. And that was my actual father's response to it. My mother and stepfather were a little less. It wasn't like get the fuck out of our house. It wasn't anything near that, actually. It was just like my mom was like, why didn't you think you could tell us before you post on Facebook and blah? And I've never like felt super close to my parents, which is why I did that. My stepdad was like, well, how do you know? Have you done stuff? And I remember my older brother, who's always been very supportive of me, being like, this is why he felt like he couldn't tell you, because you're like questioning him immediately of like, is it a phase or not? Yeah, everyone at school was actually super accepting too. Most of them were like, yeah, we kind of knew. It was pretty... I was the gay kid at New Lisbon High School, class of 50 people in my graduating class. So, yeah, and then I went to college, and I went to college in Oshkosh and became a whore immediately, and then graduated and moved to Eau Claire, and yeah, here we are now. So I had the opposite experience of you, of bigger city, small town, big city again.
Okay, so when was like you said you kind of knew like at 12, what was like your gay awakening moment?
I remember specifically, it was a David Beckham underwear ad in my older sister's Teen Vogue magazine. Okay. I remember tearing out the page and hiding it in my couch because it was like David Beckham like splayed out in just briefs, and I thought it was the hottest thing ever. That was my gay awakening.
I mean, that's a fair gay awakening. David Beckham.
I remember it so specifically. If you showed me that ad, or if you showed me a lineup of potential ones, I could probably pick it out. Yeah. Teen Vogue circa 2008, 9, somewhere in there.
And you were 12 then?
No. Yes. No, it would have been earlier than that, actually. I was born in 95.
Okay, I was like, I feel really old, because that was like when I started doing drag. So I was like, oh God, I'm going to kill myself tonight.
Oh no. Oh my God, the old gay and the baby gay.
True.
And I'm almost 30, so.
Yeah, and I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
So.
You look great.
I know, thanks.
What was your gay awakening?
Mine's a little less great. I'm a child of the 80s, so we didn't, have access to a lot of things. But what we did have was movies. And I think probably my gay awakening was Pretty Woman, because of two different reasons. One, Richard Gere, obviously.
Smash.
Was just like, yeah, Silver Fox Daddy. Loved that. But I knew I wanted to be Julia Roberts in that movie. And in every way. Like, I knew I was going to be a prostitute someday. And I knew I was also going to be a high class woman. And I pretty much have successfully become that. So, yeah. And actually in Halloween for 3rd grade, I dressed up as Julia Roberts from Pretty Woman. And now everyone would think that I did like the prostitution look, which I did not do, probably because my mom wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
But she had the like, anyone who's a Pretty Woman fan will know this. When she went to the polo match, she had this like beautiful like tan and white polka dot dress with like a matching hat, and she had her beautiful red hair. Well, my mom had that like almost exact same dress, and I got the red curly wig from Kmart and I dressed up as Julia Roberts, and my mom let me borrow her cream heels that matched the dress, which I definitely wore.
Incredible.
My parents were divorced at this point, so my dad, it was his year to take us trick-or-treating, and I showed up
as Julia
Roberts. And
no wonder they reacted so well to me.
Also, my mom would not let me wear makeup. So when I went to school in the Julia Roberts costume, one of my classmates had red nail polish she was putting on. So I put that on as lipstick.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was a bad choice, but
incredible.
Nothing was going to stop me from living my fantasy. And I also refused to wear other shoes to go trick-or-treating. I had to wear the cream heels because
you have to.
Yeah. And my dad was very upset with that because obviously it was very slow. And at one point he ended up taking his shoes off and giving me his like size 12 men's shoes to wear in third grade, and walked around with holding the heels so I could trick or treat. So
that's so cute. Your parents are so supportive.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they really are. So that was like, yeah. And then I was also really into
Bionicles.
Yes.
Really?
I don't know.
You don't know what
No. Is that like something in the ocean?
No. It's a toy. It's like Legos, but it was more of a 90s thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I was not. I was the very typical gay. Like I was drawing stuff. I was learning how to make a dress out of the shower curtain that we're going to throw away. Like that was me.
The life skills. I mean, you've really put those skills. You've been training your whole life to do what you do now.
It's true. But I loved drawing houses. Like I wanted, like I would always picture how I was going to like live in this big, beautiful house when I got older. And so I would draw what it would look like. And for some reason, I think it was from the movie Dumb and Dumber, but I always wanted a heart-shaped bathtub in like in your main suite room, and I would always draw that. And whenever I would picture myself living in this house, I never picture myself living in it with a woman. It was always a man. So I was like, I knew I was gay just early on. And obviously drawing homes with heart-shaped bathtub.
Well, I could have gotten you a heart-shaped bathtub. I was at an estate sale. This was like 2 years ago. And there was a heart-shaped like hot tub bathtub thing, but it had carpet going up the sides of it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
But it was only like $800. I should have hit you up.
You should have.
Damn.
Missed opportunity.
Actually, I saw it on Facebook Marketplace not that long ago. And so whoever bought it was reselling it. So it's still out there. We can get you that heart-shaped hot tub.
Okay, so I think we should talk about how we ended up meeting each other.
Yeah. How did we end up meeting each other?
Well, it was on this little app called
Scruff.
No, I think actually like truly how I met you was obviously when we were getting ready to launch the shows with us. And then because of Nick Niskoviak, which we'll have a whole episode dedicated to him one day.
I'm sure he will be a guest many, many times.
I think that's really how we actually met.
Yeah. Which is really cool. I'm actually, Nick, I can speak for both me and Nick. We're really proud of creating a safe space and that we got to turn it into like what it is now, which is a vibey space where everyone can feel like welcome and accepting. We call it the Closeted Gay Bar. Yeah. But really that all started with you and wanting to run drag shows. That's when it really kicked off as being known as like a safe space for queer people. So
yeah, I think it's been really awesome to just, when I first started doing drag in the Chippewa Valley area, in God, when was it? 2009?
You're so old.
I know. We had like our one monthly show at Scooters, and it was like always packed. Like people in Eau Claire have always been very accepting of the drag community, which has been awesome. But like it was very taboo still, and no one like to do drag. You really like had to like want to and like find out about it because Drag Race was just starting at that point. Like I think maybe season 1 had already premiered, but like no one watched it. It was like a really terrible thing. So like to find doing drag, you had to like go to the bar, you had to seek out the queens, you had to like seek out all the information. Like there was no YouTube tutorial videos. There was literally nothing. So it was something you really had to want to do. And like the gay bar scene at that time was really kind of like underground and seedy, which I do kind of miss a little bit.
I feel like I miss it too, even though I never experienced it.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, I turned 21 in 2016? Yeah, 2016. Yeah, that math. I'm almost 29.
Young.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're 28.
Yeah, I'm 28 currently.
God. Jesus, I'm 10 years older.
I keep you young.
That's wild. Oh my God. Yeah,
but I came of age like after the acceptance of it. More so of like drag and drag race was like a big thing at that point already. I think we were on like season 7, season 6, season 7, somewhere in there. Wow. And yeah.
So you were like probably still in high school when they like finally legalized gay marriage in all 50 states.
I remember when they legalized. I think I was 17, 16. I was 17. I was waiting tables at a restaurant like 20 minutes from my hometown in Toma. And I remember I was at work when they announced the decision, that Hobbs decision, right? I think that's it. We should know gay history a little bit more than we do, but
we can tell.
We'll figure it out. Yeah. We fact check. Yeah. If you want to tell us we're wrong, smalltownbiggays@gmail.com is our email address, and STBG pod on TikTok and Instagram.
Okay, and
I'll be the one handling. Yeah,
because I will not be. So
no, but you can email us smalltownbiggays@gmail.com. Tell us when gay marriage was legalized, because we don't know how to Google.
Yeah, well, I mean, we also could have, but we weren't knowing where we were going to go with this episode.
No.
In the future, we'll have our.
We'll maybe have
straight.
Maybe.
Well,
probably
straight,
not,
but
very curved. But yeah, I was waiting tables at the restaurant, and it was on the TVs, and I was like, that was like right after I came out too. So I was like, hey, I can get married now. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I've been thinking about that a lot this week, because obviously we just had the election last week, which whatever. And I think it's so crazy to see like how quickly the generational, like, I don't know if gap's the right word, but has changed so much. Like, so I'm a millennial, and I grew up in like pre-internet era, and then was in the internet era and have had to learn how to be a part of the internet era. So I also grew up very like, I don't want to say poor, but we definitely didn't have money. Like, I never had a computer in my house until my senior year of high school.
Oh yeah.
And it was dial up. And it was like really tragic, actually. So I never had like access to the internet. I never had any of that stuff. It was around, but it was like for
not like accessible.
Yeah, like kids who had money had it more than me. I didn't even have a cell phone until I was 20, I think. So yeah, pretty tragic. But I was like just thinking about that, of how like I've like kind of feel like I know life like before things were really accepting, and then like know a good part of my life after things have been really accepting, because it was all very fast. Yeah. And so I think like it's just going to be interesting to see a lot of like the newer generation who is kind of basically, I don't want to say like born into it, but born into a lot of like just acceptance, and like have always had their rights, and then now some of it could be in jeopardy. But I mean, we don't know. We're going to hope for the best, but
we're going to take it as she comes. Yeah. But I mean, I do feel like what you said is it's been very fast. That's part of why we're seeing what we're seeing, is that any progress that gets made, there's a little bit of a retraction after. I mean, big retraction, but potentially big retraction. But I think that's what we're seeing right now, is we got a lot of acceptance, and then now the other side is pushing back, and I think it's going to even out sooner than we think, hopefully. I also think a lot back to when I first started doing drag, and like how there was like a huge divide even within like the drag and trans community too. And just like how that gap has really like bridged a lot recently. It has. And just like different things of how things evolve, but so quickly. Yeah. So, and we get to see it from, again, the small town perspective. Like, yeah, the queens in LA have been maybe seeing this for a lot longer than we have, but like we're in Wisconsin, and yeah, not a small town, quote unquote, but again, comparatively, we're pretty small. So we get to see a unique perspective on it that we hope to share with everyone. Yeah. And hopefully not get canceled. Hopefully not get canceled. Anything I say that's going to get me canceled, you will edit out, correct? No. Nope. All in, and we're just leaning into it. Oh, God. Interesting. But yeah, so a long story, really long about that. We did meet by setting up some drag shows together, and this bar that was not originally meant to be even a queer friendly space is now, I think, in the top takings of the queer friendly spaces in town. I think so. And that's really exciting and awesome. And that really speaks volumes to what you and especially Nick have done in the
just a safe space that you guys have created there. I love performing there. It's one of my favorite places to perform in.
And the queens always say that, and I hope they're not lying just to make me feel better about myself. You can tell me it sucks.
No, we would.
Yeah, I know you would.
I complain a lot, so there should never be fear that if I'm unhappy, you will not know about.
You complain about things that you like too. So
true.
Yeah.
I just like to complain. It's kind of like my biggest personality trait.
It's super fun.
I'm always hot. I'm always tired, and I'm always hungry. Those are like my three things. So I'm probably bitching about one or two of the three at all times.
At any time.
Yeah.
You haven't been bitching that much on this episode though. Yet.
I'm trying to.
It's the first one.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Able to ease into my personality, I think.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little warm in here though.
It is. I was going to say the same thing.
But I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah.
It's because it's my house and I should probably just
turn on the...
But I'm always afraid that people are going to be like too cold then, because people complain about being cold a lot too.
And we're bigger.
Yeah.
We're bigger people, so we got hot easy.
Yeah. Like this tiny little ring light that's in front of us is probably not really giving off that much heat, but I think it is. And feel like I'm sweating everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting sunburn. What else you want to talk about?
Okay. So you were not afraid during your talking of your coming out to talk about your first sexual experience.
Oh yeah. What's yours? Ooh.
Okay. So
small town big gays after dark already.
I feel like I'm going to get really judged for this, but whatever. I'm just going to put myself out there because that's what we're going to do.
Oh God, how bad is this?
Well, it's pretty bad. So obviously, like, I feel like all queer people or just however identifying, you know from a pretty young age, like something is different.
Yeah.
And obviously I did. And it was, I think, my 8th grade year. Yeah, 8th grade. So very young, probably like 12 years old. Mm-hmm. I had a friend, and I'm gonna keep them anonymous for now.
Yeah.
I had a friend who told me that they had a friend they were playing video games with, and their friend wanted them to like jerk them off in order to play the video game. And I thought that was so hysterical, like so weird, like random, but also like so intriguing. I was like, how do I make friends like that? So I don't know how I did it, but I'm a mischievous little bitch. And like when I want something, I will find any way to get it.
You know. What?
So at the time in middle school, they had a catalog of everyone's name and phone numbers that they gave to everyone at the beginning of the year. Like, isn't that wild to think about?
They had like a phone book of students?
Yeah, of students. Yeah, with the numbers.
So weird.
Yeah, it had like our names, grade, phone numbers, and then I think like our like school, maybe email addresses. I think at that time we probably like just got email addresses. So I found this person's phone number and called them. And I made up this whole plot ploy that I was like mad at my friend and I needed help like to get him back, and that's how I was going to become friends with this person who was the jerk off guy. So and I was not mad at my friend. Like, he was still like a great friend, but I was like, this is how I figured I would just like get the ends of the jerk off.
This is how I get to jerk off this guy.
Right. This is so actually kind of scary saying it out loud. But so we did actually end up becoming like kind of friends, and I was involved in the ski club, like downhill skiing, and like once a month we would go to Minneapolis, and there was like, I think Afton Alps is what it was. And we'd go skiing and we'd ride the coach bus up there. Mm-hmm. So I convinced this kid that we should sit next to each other on the coach bus. And we were skiing with each other the whole night. And I don't know how I just did it. And I ended up like grabbing his dick on the ski lift. And then like I just knew like it was going to go down on the bus after.
Yeah.
So we were literally sitting next to each other on the coach bus, like towards the back. And I remember just being like, "Are you cold?" And he was like, "No." I'm like, "You're cold. Like, here, take your coat." And so like I had my coat and his coat like draped over us, and he had definitely jerked him off on the bus on the way home.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that.
Yeah. And then he spent the night at my house that night, and we did a lot more stuff that evening. And I remember it was like the most like euphoric feeling, but also like I have never felt more disgusting in my life afterwards, because obviously internal homophobia, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
I knew I loved it, but also was like so shamed. It was wild.
Yeah.
But we ended up doing it like several more times that
Was that your first boyfriend?
No, we never because I didn't want anyone to know I was gay. So I was like very closeted. He was also closeted at the time. This is actually a really wild story. It goes in many twists and turns, but we did end up hooking up in the bathroom at school in 8th grade as well too.
Oh my God, you whore.
Yeah, I was like, I just couldn't, I was dickmatized. I could not get enough of it. But that's like the most like funny and ironic thing. So we did that 8th grade year and then we left to like before freshman year and I just like stopped talking to him. Mm-hmm. And then we came into freshman year, which is like, I think a horrifying, scary time for anyone.
Yeah.
And he had come out in the meantime as bisexual and like everyone was like freaked out because we had like no one had come out at that point yet. And like in high school, there's obviously some queer people there and they were all like they'd like to play like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And they were like into Harry Potter.
Okay, so it's nice to know that gays have always been fucking nerds the whole time.
Well, and I was not into that stuff. Like I was your typical like bitchy gay that was more like I wanted to like do hair and paint people's nails.
Very queenie.
Make fun of people. Yeah. And so I was like,
and you turned that into a career.
Right.
So good for you again.
But I was like, God, I don't want to be like these people. They're freaks, you know, like I was such a bitch, but like, that was really how I felt about it. I was like, God, I'm not going to like sit around and play fucking Pokemon at lunch. Like that is not me.
You fucking nerds.
So I was like, yeah, I'm like, I'm not gay then. Fuck that. Cause I just thought that's how all gay people had to be, like Pokemon freaks. So I was like, nope, not going to be for me. Then I also like saw obviously how like he got bullied. Not like crazy, but enough to like be like, that's not for me either. Yeah. And so he ended up getting bullied enough where he dropped out of school our freshman year. And he did tell a few people about things we did, but I obviously just denied it. So then after that point of 8th grade up until God, I was like 19. I never did another thing again. Like not even kissed anyone or like boy or girl.
You went back in the closet hard.
Yeah. Celibate. Yeah. Yep. And then good old squirt.org came along and everything changed my life again. But the funniest thing is so that particular person from the 8th grade experience, I ended up running into him again at the bar after I started doing drag, like right around the time I first started doing drag. Yeah. And we went to an after party and we ended up like making out and hooking up in the host's bathroom and they were so fucking pissed off about it and like ended up kicking us out of the house. But I remember,
oh my God,
I remember hooking up with them and I was like remembering like how great it was in 8th grade and then like redoing it as an adult. And I was like, this is terrible.
This sucks.
It was not great. Yeah. And then he ended up dying of a drug overdose shortly after that.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Which I probably blame myself partially for. Just kidding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he really did. Yeah. He ended up passing away, which is really sad and tragic, but yeah, so like I said, the story just dips and turns.
That's so many twists and turns. Holy shit. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought you were going to end it with, oh yeah, and this is a queen that performs regularly.
No, he's dead.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Shout out to Redacted.
Yeah.
This episode goes out to you.
Yeah. So that was my first experience.
No, mine was nowhere near that. I was just out with friends because like New Lisbon is kind of near the Wisconsin Dells, like 20 minutes away, whatever. And I was hanging out with some friends and this was like, I was maybe out to these friends already, or it was after I came out overall. And one of them was gay. And my friend at the time, whose name I don't remember, so you can tell we've stayed in touch. She was just like, yeah, you and what's his name, kind of, and then we ended up just hanging out, and then I sucked his dick in the back of my parents' 1997 Windstar. I think it was 97. Might have been 2006. I don't know. But either way, it was a minivan, and we did it, and then it was all downhill from there. And I couldn't get enough.
Loved it, didn't you?
Loved it. And I had, at this point, unfettered access to the internet, which is because I bought my own laptop with money that I made mowing lawns. And so I was just all up in the porn. This was also the golden age of Tumblr. Were you ever on Tumblr?
No.
Oh God, I miss it.
Actually, wait, that's a lie. I think maybe like right before it like got taken, because Tumblr is the one that got taken away,
Yes.
right? Yeah, I think I like maybe had like a month of Tumblr.
Well, not even taken away. It just they banned porn, and then it was like all downhill. That was like 2012, I think they did that. But yeah, I was on Tumblr for the golden age, which is why I am a freak.
I know. I like couldn't imagine if I had like free access to the internet when I was a kid, like what kind of terrorist I would be.
It
like
was bad.
Yeah.
It was not great.
So to have any access to the internet at this point, when, like I said, I didn't have a computer until I was a senior in high school, and like it was dial up. My grandparents had the internet at their house though, which again, it was still dial up, mind you. But my grandpa was like really into genealogy. And so that was like why he had the computer and like had all the internet stuff. So we'd have to go over to my grandparents, and we have such like funny experiences of like how my life was and how yours is as a kid. But AIM chat rooms were a big thing. And I would always go on them and like pretend to be like a 16-year-old girl with like big boobs and blonde hair with green eyes, always green eyes, because blue is just like too typical. It's the little details that really sell the lie. Yeah, it's like kind of like how I live my life now. Like big boob. Well, I don't really have big boobs anymore, but I did used to wear big boobs, and I always try to wear blonde hair a lot, and I have green eyes. So I think it was just like me projecting what I wanted to be onto. Which is a big buxom lady. Yeah, you know, just like Anna Nicole Smith in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And you're just as smart, so... True. Facts. But yeah, I would love the AIM chats. And then also I'll never forget one time I wish I knew, I think it was for Rolling Stones. Justin Timberlake did like, I think it was a cover, and he was shirtless with like jeans, and he was like grabbing his crotch, and I thought it was like the hottest picture. And I remember I had to print it off on my grandparents' computer. And like, mind you, at this time, like printers weren't really a thing either. So it literally took like a half hour to print this. And I was so afraid that my grandpa was going to come upstairs while I was fucking, you know, like each line of the fucking picture. Incredible. Yeah. So that was like my very limited access to the internet. I actually do remember when I was a real young kid, not real young, but like 10, 12, whatever, after I figured out that there was something different about me, I didn't have the laptop at this time. We only had internet on like the family computer upstairs. And I remember one time my parents were gone, and I remember typing in gay porn into like the search bar and like looking at some stuff. And I can't believe I did not get caught. I don't think I cleared the search history. I don't think I knew what that was. I can't believe we didn't get a virus. Like, I got away with it. Yeah, I definitely was a fan of clearing the history for sure, which would piss my grandpa off because he would like to go back and like look at the sites where he was on his genealogy. Why are you clearing the history? I'm like, I don't know. It's an accident. Was definitely not like typing in Justin Timberlake in his underwear on the search bar. Yeah. I know. I'm like thinking of all these random stories and like how kind of scandalous I was as a kid. Yeah. That's fun. I think that's part of the gay experience. That's true. Especially like, I'm sure the kids have it different now growing up with like, again, acceptance in the internet and stuff. But like, we didn't know what the fuck. I mean, even when I was a kid in the early 2000s, like I was born in 95. So yeah, early 2000s of like 2000 to 2010, we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Like we didn't have, especially in a town of 1,400 people, like I didn't have any frame of reference for like any of this shit. Yeah. So you're getting away with shit. You were doing what you can. So you identify as bisexual, correct? Yes. Okay. Did you like always know that was what you were, or was that like an awakening to discover that you were interested in both sexes? Or it was like as soon as I hit puberty, I think like I knew I was into women, but I was also found I was into men. Again, it was the David Beckham underwear ad. That was what kicked everything off. Okay. But yeah, I started as just bi-curious, because like I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm gay, or oh, I'm bi, or whatever, you know, because young kid, small town, again, like 2000 whatever this was, like I didn't want to be, you know, I didn't want to be bi or gay or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty much from the onset of puberty that I was like, yeah, I'm into both. And it's never, I tell people when it comes up, and not that I'm just going around telling everyone I'm like true bisexual, but like it's split pretty evenly. And now, I mean, I'm married to a man for 2 years. We've been together for 4, whatever. But so obviously people think I'm one over the other, but yeah, it's still
still like pretty evenly split down the middle, and it always has been.
I'm trying to understand the bi experience more because it's not something I ever have felt.
I imagine it's different, and I can understand the gay experience for obvious reasons, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think straight people can understand the gay experience at all?
I think they can understand it a little bit. Like, I feel like everyone kind of has like had thoughts, because like I feel like I am like kind of the opposite of reverting of like when I first came out, like before that, I always, because I lived as a missionary.
Yeah.
So it was like obvious, like I was always like, I'm waiting till marriage. You know, that was such a, oh my God, that was like the best excuse ever. Thank you, the church, for being my beard, my constant support. But then like once it was like I was kind of done with my missionary stuff, I had to like kind of like no choice but to come out. And I remember there was like like literally like 2 months in between like finishing my contract and when I like started doing drag, where I was very briefly like, I'm asexual, I'm not really attracted to anyone, even though I was like sucking dick everywhere. But yeah, so I kind of like just always knew that I was really only into men. But I feel like actually recently I might be like reverting back to maybe a little touch of bisexuality, because I'm very curious about it.
Interesting.
Because I've never experienced it. So I'm like, I very much live my life on like, how do you know you don't like it until you've tried it?
Yeah.
So there's some curiosity in there. But I don't know if I'm going to act on it yet.
Yeah.
I'm still deciding what I want to do.
I feel like that's true for a lot of, I don't want to be one of the people who says like everyone's a little bi, but I think most people have like curiosity of some point, of some sort.
Yeah.
Shout out to the straight people who actually like try it out and be like, yeah, wasn't for me. Suck the dick, whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, like I obviously like love the women in my life, and like I feel like I have like certain women that I feel like they're like platonic soulmates, you know, like I think probably a lot of gay people understand that, like we just like the gays and the girls are, like
inseparable,
kindred spirits. But I'm definitely like more attracted to masculine features, I think. So I don't know, like it's a whole thing I think I need to like think about.
And what's your type? Bears? You love a bear?
Oh my God, this is a whole nother subject for another day that we'll get into about fucking subsex communities in this. Okay, I feel like this, people say this and don't actually mean it, but I really don't have a type where I'm like very much personality driven, and I can find people attractive in any like shape, form, race, size, no matter what. I really have to be attracted to personality.
What's on the inside?
Yeah. I mean, I do have like I'm 6'5", so I'm a tall person. So like I'm immediately attracted to taller people just because it's nice of convenience. But I have like dated short guys before, and that's fine. I mean, good for them. They're trying. Side note,
do you get freaked out by people taller than you?
No, I love it.
I get so freaked out.
Like want it.
And I'm like 6'3", so I'm taller than most people, but I'm not like you're taller than me. Yeah. And when we first started like becoming friends, I hate having to like look up or even be eye level with people, because I'm just so used to being taller than everyone that I'm like.
So do you hate me when I'm in drag, especially?
Yes, you're so tall.
I know.
Suspiciously large woman.
Yep, that is me. Okay, so I have like a love-hate with being tall. I think it's really fun, and like actually in drag, it's like super cunty to be taller than everyone and just like hover over them. And I think it's a really amazing thing.
For sure.
But like when you're trying to fly in an airplane, it's not so amazing.
Yeah.
So no, I like tend to find myself more physically attracted to taller people just because it's easier. But I'm not
picky.
Type. What about you?
I like my
You're one of those you have a very particular type.
I don't have a very particular type. I just have a very particular not type. Like I don't like daddies, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Like
what's daddy?
Like old bears.
Okay.
I don't like older men.
Just because they gross you out?
Because I see myself in them, actually.
You see your future, and
I see my future, especially now that I shave my beard and I look like my father. I'm just like, fuck. God damn.
I do like with the scruff now, though.
I do too, actually. Yeah.
I'm
gonna keep it this way.
Remembering you with like the long beard, which I did like that too, but I think I like this a little more.
I think I'm gonna keep it this way. It's a nice change because I've had the beard. I mean, last time I was clean shaven was 4 years ago, and before that was another 4 years. So it's been like 8 years of having a full beard. It's just nice to Nice to have a little change. Been really feeling myself lately.
That's good. You should.
Confidence is good.
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that's helping me with that to do this because it makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's what's fun about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uncomfortability, discomfort is the key to good content.
Wow, look at that. What
Maybe.
mantra. Did you make that up or is
just
that like,
just off the dome right now?
You should make that like a little like a thing that we can post on like on Facebook.
Yeah.
I feel like the boss babes everywhere will love that.
Discomfort is the key to cuntiness.
Yeah. Well, I'm always uncomfortable, so I guess
that's why you're so cunty. Yes. That should be the name of the first episode.
Yeah. So you really don't have is there anything that like you particularly like would see in someone you're like, oh, I like that?
Well, I like my twinks and I like my otters.
Okay.
And then like the more bearish you get, the less, like, I'm not going to say no, but I'm just like, I'm not attracted to anyone that looks like me. Okay. But I am actually, never mind. I take that back. No, I'm very picky, but I can't really define how. But yeah, I tend towards like twinks and otters, I guess.
Okay.
Because maybe that's because I want to look like them because I've always been like a bigger, hairy guy. I've always been jealous of like the fucking smooth, words are hard, less hairy, like more like traditional looking. When you think of, gays in pop culture, you think of them skinny little abs. Mm-hmm. I've always been a little jealous of that. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. But I think like in a future episode, we should delve into like types and stuff. Cause I feel like it's such an interesting thing of like, I feel like everyone obviously has a type and like things they like and things they don't like. And I feel like a lot of times we also get shamed for that in the queer community.
I think so too.
In both ways of like, you should be more accepting and like everyone and be more open to that. But then also like, I feel like there's also gays who are very much like, I'm only into like muscly gays and that's it, and everyone else is disgusting, which is a whole nother conversation. And
we should save that for another episode, but I do want to dive into at some point, like what it's like for us being, I would say both of us are a little more niche in terms of appeal.
I don't know what that means. So, can you explain why are you calling me niche?
You're a tall bitch.
Oh, that's what we're going with?
Yep, that's what I'm going to stick with that.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. Well, so should we end this one here?
Yeah.
I think so.
That was great.
Okay, great episode. Great first episode. Cool. We did it.
My hand's a little sweaty. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Everything is a little sweaty. Do you have anything you want to plug? Where can people find you on social media and whatnot?
Well, as a true millennial, I do love the Facebooks. So you can find me on Facebook at Chloe Wold. I do have an Instagram, Chloe Wold 87, which is not my age, but my birth year. And I am on the TikToks.
You're on the TikToks.
I think it's just at Chloe Wold. I'm sure if you search that, you'll find me. I don't know if that's actually my username. I think it might be Biggie_teacher, which is hilarious. And I need to fix that. But find me on the TikTok.
Chloe Wold is your drag name.
Chloe Wold. Oh yeah. We didn't really talk about that.
No, we didn't talk about it.
That's another episode.
Yeah.
We already have like 10 episodes.
Yeah,
planned.
We do. Yep.
What about you?
You can find me on the social medias, Instagram and TikTok anyway, at Black Cat Heavy Metal. But so on Instagram it's Black Cat _Heavy Metal, and then I think on TikTok it's like BLCK CT _MTL, like no vowels.
So I think the moral of the story is we will work on our social media presence.
We will, but we already have the podcast social media presence down. Yes. You can find us at on Instagram and TikTok right now anyway at STBG pod POD on the social medias, and email us smalltownbiggays@gmail.com. I can't believe they actually let me put that smalltownbiggays as a Gmail address. I thought they were gonna say something about the gay part.
People can like write us questions, and then like you can also like talk shit about us. I would love like if people really hate us to write in, which I know people hate me, so they can write in and talk about it, and then we'll just like talk about it and read my hate mail.
Also, I would love because I want to talk about the weird messages we get on Grindr, but I also don't want people to stop messaging us on Grindr, which I fear in our relatively small town they might.
I think that will happen to you, but I don't get messages from most of the local people, so it will never stop for me. It will always be content. Don't worry. You might suffer at the hands of that.
I might suffer,
but I could also just make some catfish profiles.
That's true,
because that's my favorite.
But if
but it'll just be me, so it won't really work.
Yeah. But if you have, if you get any good Grindr interactions, you can send us screenshots if you want.
And
we'll read them on the.
And we'll obviously keep it anonymous, so we're not going to out. We're not going to. Well,
we won't use names or addresses or anything, but we'll just talk about it, and we'll.
Yeah.
You can censor dick and ass pics if you want. We'll look at them too if you want to send them.
Yeah, if you want to send them, that'd be great.
If they're yours and consensual. Don't send other people's penis.
Yeah. Don't want that. Consent only.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, that's the podcast.
Okay, bye.
Bye.